For the longest time, I thought my glutes wouldn't grow, but it turns out that my quads were just taking over in every exercise that I was doing. Once I fixed these things, my glutes finally started to grow. So at the moment that I started to notice that my quads were kind of taking over and my glutes were not growing was looking at my progress pictures. I just knew something was off because my quads were just poking out way more than my glutes were. And I think that was always something that I struggled with. But once I actually started getting into the gym and I was taking pictures like every day, I was like, yeah, that something seems off. So that's number one. And then another way that I could tell was during my certain workouts. So I would always do squats. I was always doing hip thrusts in the beginning as well, but my foot placement was wrong and I was always feeling things in my quads. I was always feeling every workout in my quads really. And Bulgarian split squats, those were definitely growing my quads. I was doing them every week and it was all quad. Even my hip thrusts, I was always feeling them in my quads. So I just knew something was off. Any exercise that I tried to do really, I just always felt them in my quads. My quads always kind of took over. So here are some signs that you can kind of look for yourself. If you're wondering if you are quad dominant, I would say is if you're feeling your quads take over in certain movements, even hinge movements. If you're doing squats and you are leaning forward and trying to emphasize your glutes and you're still feeling your quads take over. If you are doing sumo, if you are doing Bulgarian split squats and you are doing proper form for your glutes, leaning forward and having the right stride, and you're still just feeling quads. If you are feeling your quads in every exercise that you want for your glutes, and I would say that's a good indicator. Another one is your progress pictures, just like me. You can take a look after 3 months, 6 months, if you're just seeing your quads grow and your glutes kind of stay the same, that's another indicator. And then, yeah, if you're always feeling your quads in your workouts, always burning, and your glutes are just not growing at the same pace, I would take a step back and evaluate your routine and kind of consider that you may be quad dominant. So here are the mistakes that I was making. So number one was having poor mind to muscle connection. I was just not aware that I was really supposed to think about the muscle that I was recruiting, especially your glutes. Number two is I was just doing the wrong exercises. I was just doing whatever I saw on YouTube. I was a newbie to the gym, so I was just looking for weightlifting videos. So a lot of it was squats and I had no idea that I was quad dominant. So I was always doing goblet squats. Always. I did more goblet squats than I did reverse lunges, step ups, even hip thrusts in the beginning. And I think that really accelerated my quad growth without me really noticing it because I was such a newbie and I was doing goblet squats pretty much twice. I'd say at least twice a week because it was my little routine that I liked. And then I would always just do whatever else that I saw on YouTube, but I always did goblet squats because it was easy for me to kind of hide in a little corner and do that and not have a lot of eyes on me. It was one of the easiest exercises that I could do, but I did not know that it was just growing my quads and I didn't really realize it. And then something else is slowing down your reps, and that goes with poor mind to muscle connection. You really have to take your time and not rush your reps, and you really have to master your form, proper form, and slowing down your reps, engaging that muscle. Those are all very helpful if you are quad dominant. Last tip would be focusing on activating your glutes in the beginning. You can use bands, you can do some hip abduction movements before you start your glute exercises. That really helped me as well. Or you can do the abduction machine, which is what I do, leaning forward and doing some different positions just to kind of warm up your glutes and let your body know, okay, this is the muscle that I'm working today. Pretty much like this is the muscle that we need to focus on. Okay. Another thing that helped me was separating my glute days and really just honing in, having one dedicated glute day. Some things that I changed were my foot positioning and learning what works for me. So for hip thrust, I know that I'm shorter and I need a plate underneath me if I'm doing with machine hip thrust. And I just know that works for me, having a plate under my foot. It really helps me to, because the bench is a little too high for me. So just making sure that you know what works for you. Number 2 is mind to muscle connection, of course. So definitely slowing your reps and thinking about engaging the muscle and really taking your time through your reps and not rushing. So proper form with that as well. Proper form, mind to muscle connection, and slowing down your reps. Those really changed the game for me. And I would say focusing on the right movements. So for me, I know hip thrusts. I love hip thrusts. You know, they really helped me. But once I tweaked, instead of doing the full range of motion, just because I just know I don't want my quads to take over, I do a shorter range of both motion. So I do glute bridges rather than the full hip thrust, and that has really helped me a lot. That combined with mind to muscle connection is just chef's kiss. Okay, so me finding out what worked for me really helped me. Learning my body throughout the years has really helped me as well. Here are some exercises that I love and that really have helped me. So I've since let go of doing goblet squats every leg day. So hip thrusts, hip bridges are definitely number 1. My first exercise that I always do for my glute days. And then I go to a hinge movement, which is RDLs, and I love RDLs. And that's one thing that I started doing, and you know, they are a great exercise. So hip thrust, hip bridges, RDLs for a hinging movement, Bulgarian split squats. I still do these, and I do them on the Smith machine a lot of the time. And I just make sure that it's glute bias. So I lean forward and I make sure that I am feeling it in my glutes. Reverse lunges, elevated reverse lunges are great as well. And then another one is step ups. Step ups are great for your glutes, and glute kickbacks as well. So if you're quad dominant like I was, fixing these things can make such a huge difference. And if you're interested, I have a full video up on my page on the 6 things that has helped me grow my glutes even while struggling with being quad dominant.